Hello, it's Keith here, and I'm going to do a special video today. I'm going to do a bit of a review of Cotton Reboot, which is a new game that's been released in Japan recently for the Nintendo Switch, as I believe pretty much everything is being nowadays. Apparently the Switch is absolutely dominating, and I can't say I'm complaining about that because I think it's very good. Anyway, Cotton Reboot is a remake of the first game, the arcade and X68000 game, and personally we're going to be looking at it, but I was very happy to see this because I think the X68000 version is pretty good, but I wanted to see it refreshed, and the PC Engine version and things aren't so good. So I wanted to see a nice new version, and I thought this game was highly deserving of a new version. I like the fact they've called it Cotton Reboot as well. That kind of amuses me because often you get films and things referred to as a reboot and it's slightly derogatory, suggesting they're just recycling what they've done before. At least they're being honest. They're not claiming it's anything more than a remake of the original, and we'll have a look at that and I'll let you know more about it. Now, this is the deluxe version. It cost about $80, something like that. It wasn't too bad. It was only about $30 more than the regular version, and I have a lot of respect for this game. This game was a big inspiration for my Chibi Akuma's game. Basically, Chibi Akuma's was supposed to be the gameplay of Death Smiles with the comedy of Cotton. So I thought I owed them spending the money on the bigger version. And I'm also a massive sucker and very poor with my money. So they suckered me into buying this. And we'll have a look at what is inside this right now. So first of all, it came with these extra stickers and things. This is a sheet of stickers, and this is actually a fake animation cell. This is a sheet of plastic. No idea what I'm supposed to do with that, but we got them. I don't think those are necessarily part of the deluxe edition. I think that was like a store extra. Some of the stores sell give a few extra bits to entice you to buy from that store, not other ones. So I think that's all that was. We'll have a look inside this massive box, which is far too close to my camera because I have not got my cameras designed for such large products. So let's have a look at the cover. The cover here is basically the same as the one for the smaller box of the regular version, I believe. A very nice design. It's a bit larger than I'd like, and in a small Japanese apartment here. Don't really have a whole lot of room, but it is what it is. The inside is this kind of fake wooden box design, a very nice magical design there. I like that. That's very, very nice theming there. And if we open it up, you can see we've got all kinds of interesting things in here. So we've got a little manual here. Basically, this is kind of a gameplay guide. There's no manual in the box of the game itself. The boxes of the game is of course one of those little switch boxes, and it's a digital manual. But this seems to give a lot of gameplay guide to the levels and things. So a nice little addition there. That's one thing there. Another thing, very strange. Not quite sure why I'd like this, but it's a assemblable stand which shows like an advertising thing for the game. So if I want to advertise the game to passers-by, I suppose I can do it now. I don't know why I want that. Anyway, that's what we got. This and this are two almost identical ones, and I'm not sure what these are. I have the feeling that maybe they're advertisements that have been used in magazines. I think maybe I've seen them before. They did also have a bit of a feel of like maybe they'd be attached to the side of an arcade machine or something. So I have to be honest and say I'm not entirely sure what they are. They're nice enough. It's interesting to see that there's a change in the style of the drawing between the two. I don't know which came first. I kind of get the feeling maybe the painted one came first and then they rehashed it into this one, which personally I think isn't quite as good. But no, they're nice enough. It's the sort of paper stuff. I think all these paper kind of things are very cheap to produce, so easy things for them to add. Here's the game box itself. I've already removed the cartridge here, and we have a little thing there. What's that? Oh, a very simple introduction to the gameplay maybe there. And then if we open up further into here, underneath, it took me a while to figure out where they'd hidden this, but there's a CD of the music. Now, the only thing I'd say with this, I haven't tried it yet, but the music of the game is quite pleasant, but it's not that noticeable. The gameplay tends to drown it out, so I can't initially say that I particularly felt a growing passion to own the CD, but nice addition there. I'd say the music is not bad, but it's not something I particularly felt the need to have on my MP3 player. I think the more interesting thing that they've included is this. Let's have a look. Now, if we just open this up, and if we're careful, because it's fragile. Now this is a Cotton branded teacup. So we've got the Cotton logo here and the Long Life logo there, I think that is. And this is a new thing. They did this originally with the Genesis Mega Drive version, I believe, and that version is now basically worth more than hard drugs if you've still got it intact. And I was quite impressed to see this. It does leave you in a bit of a sort of paradox of, do you use it and it ends up getting broken and you regret it when the limited edition intact is worth a vast amount of money, or do you actually put it to some use? And I haven't quite decided what to do there. But anyway, it's nice to see that as a thing that they brought back, because as I say, the original one for the Genesis version is now very expensive if you actually have it intact. So there we go, lots of nice things in there. But what we of course really want to see is the game. So we'll put this to one side here and we'll get my controller, and then we will switch over to my other window and hopefully we'll be able to see some gameplay. Okay, so I just need to reposition myself in front of the correct camera now, and let's have a go at the game. Now the first thing I'm going to do is check the options. There's 3 options of difficulty: easy, medium and hard, and I don't think the original really had that. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll try it on normal. And we will start the game. So this is the new version. Now I should say that the game, I believe, has been released internationally, because in the game credits they do actually say there's English translators and playtesters and things. So I assume this is available worldwide. And here we've got the introduction to the game, and what they've basically done is they've recreated all of these from the original X68000 version. They've redone all the artwork in high definition. The game looks to be developed in 720p. I've tried it on my 4K monitor. It's a little bit blurry, but it's not bad. But these are all full resolution, using the full resolution of the system, and I say that because the graphics of the game are intentionally pixelated, which is a bit weird because they've scaled them up. They've improved them for the higher resolution, but not all the way. I don't have any criticism of that, it's just a surprising choice. But these are really nice and sharp. But what they've done is they've recreated the animations and the jokes and everything exactly as they were in the X68000 version. They've just redrawn them and redone the audio, presumably, because the quality's a lot higher. But all of the design of the characters and things is the same as they were before, and the dialogue's the same. It's not a remake. It's not a new version that is changing the plot or the characters or anything. It's a very faithful recreation of the original, just improving the graphics, at least in that way. Now when we get to the gameplay is quite different. Firstly, the most noticeable thing is the auto fire, which personally I think is a vast improvement. So now I can just hold down a button and shoot continuously, and we've got the other buttons for extra power-ups, and there are some changes to the scoring and the power-ups and things. You'll see later on we have like X64 bonuses and things. The gameplay itself feels very different just because of that auto-fire for starters, and also it does have a much more modern feel to it. The Cotton character now has a visible hitbox at the heart in the middle of the character, which is the area that you have to avoid hitting. The only thing I would say is I'm currently playing this on a tiny little screen because the OBS capture window is delayed and it causes a lot of trouble, so I'm playing it on a mini car TV at the moment. It's a bit hard to play on a small screen, and I'm saying that because the Switch screen itself, I found it a little bit less enjoyable, shall we say. But when I plugged the Switch into my 4K monitor, the nice big 13 screen, I found the game a lot more enjoyable and basically had more of an idea when I was getting hit and why, and what I should be avoiding and things. I found the game a lot more comfortable and playable on that screen. So that is something I would say, that while the game is very playable on the Switch, I feel it's more suited to a bigger screen. Another thing related to that is that the game does allow you infinite continues, so you can't complain that you were unable to win the game because of things like that, because you can play for as long as you want. I'd have liked an option in the menus to allow you a limited number of credits so that you could, say, start the game with a limited 10 continues or something. If that exists, I haven't seen it, but maybe it does. Now, these falling rocks, I believe, are part of my power. They're very confusing. Now, you may have seen that X64 bonus, which is a pun, I guess, on the X68. Actually, why is it X64? I was thinking it must be an X68000 pun, but it's X64, so I'm not quite sure what that's about. But anyway, it goes up to 128, and I've seen 256 as well. But anyway, as I say, the bosses are all recreations of the originals, and we will see they've got an original version of the game as well, or at least something similar to it. I think there's been some tweaks to it, like the difficulty and the controls are reconfigurable, but basically I think it's the same game, which I always think is a nice addition to these kind of things. Where's that X64? That hadn't occurred to me before, but anyway. So, as I say, the game, I think they've done a really fantastic job of making a game that does feel like a new game, but doesn't feel like a new game in the clothing of the original. Just using the branding to release a new game. It does feel like they've actually made a serious attempt to do a refresh of the original, but keep the styling of the original for people who liked it. Now, people who maybe were very particular about the gameplay of the original with regards to, as I say, the controls are slightly different and things, might not like this version, I guess. But as I say, for me, I feel it's removed the problems of the original in the fact that the original you had to like really crazily hammer down the fire button all the time, and on the PC Engine version you were quite limited on continues and things, which made it quite frustrating. But as I say, all of that has been fixed in this version. The graphics look really nice and modernised with the transparency effects and the lighting and things. So again, that feels really good. And if you change the difficulty to hard mode, this is medium. If you change it to hard, then it does feel much more like a Death Smile style bullet hell shooter. It really does. The only difference in the feeling of the gameplay is the fact that you can't face the opposite direction in this version. So as I say, it feels like it has been refreshed both in the graphics and also in the gameplay in that sense, which is surprising because, as I say, it does also feel very faithful to the original at the same time. So I think they've done a fantastic job. I will be interested to see what they do going from here, whether they plan to do any more of the other games, because Cotton Boomerang and which was the sequel? I get them confused. It was Cotton Boomerang, and was it Cotton Rainbow or something? But anyway, as I say, that they added an ability to grab enemies and throw them back, which I think was a really nice addition. This game doesn't have that. It shouldn't have that because, of course, as I say, it's a reboot of the original game. But I'm interested to see whether they decide to remake any of the sequels, although the sequels were graphically a lot improved on the original, any of them first game anyway, so they may not justify it so much. Cotton did recently come out in another game. There's a game which I can't remember the title of, but originally it was a Super Nintendo game with a girl using a grappling hook catching fish, and they did a weird spin-off of that where it was more like a puzzle game, and Cotton was a very prominent playable character in that. So I don't know if they're trying to sort of make a general attempt to bring the character into the current game. So as I say, hopefully they will, because I think they've done a fantastic job on this game. I'm just not sure, as I say, whether remaking the sequels is as justified from a graphical point of view, but I'd certainly buy them if they did that. The graphics of the enemies, as I say, I'm kind of more familiar with the PC Engine version, to be honest, but the character design of the enemies and the backgrounds all look fantastic now and very clear. As I say, you possibly can't tell so much on the window size I've got here, but there is a noticeable intentional pixelized graphic style to all of the graphics, even though they do look very nice and detailed now because of because they've been recreated. As I say, they all basically look the same as they did before. They just look a lot nicer now, and I think they've done a fantastic job of balancing the cute characters like the zombies chucking their heads at you, which are simultaneously very cute and also very are quite faithful to a sort of horror theming, even if it's a slightly silly one. Which again, I do think they did a great job of this. The Death Smiles 2 game, I personally didn't like the style of it. I didn't really feel it achieved anything. It wasn't remotely creepy. It wasn't remotely amusing. It just felt like they'd attempted something and failed at it. Whereas the first Death Smiles game, the gothic styling did feel like they were achieving something quite stylish. And this game again, you've got nice, impressive looking bosses, and you've got nice comedic artwork and things. It's a very good balance, I think. It's really not playing very well. I do apologise, but I'm too busy worrying about talking and everything. I've not got the best screen at the moment. Interestingly, this character seems to be quite different because there's a disembodied skull with like a spinal cord or something, which doesn't seem to happen in this version. I'm not sure why that is. I don't know why it's changed, whether it's it was too creepy, or whether it's... I have played the game on hard mode, and I thought I'd seen everything, but I didn't see that happen. So unless it was something that they actually added to the X68000 version within this game, I don't know. Anyway, we'll wait until the next level, because it seems I can't quit, but we'll quit and we'll try the game in X68000 mode, which is, as I say, at least similar to the original game. I can't say how similar because, as I say, I've never really done a lot of playing with the game on the X68000, so I only have a superficial experience of it, so to speak. So Cotton's now got 2 wheels there. So let's go. The original game did have speech and things, but they weren't noticeably muffled. I don't know if they've managed to get their hands on the masters and remaster them. I suspect they haven't. I think they've just got similar sounding voice actors and recreated it. As I say, it all feels very faithful. So let's check out options here. So we've got various options here. So we'll select normal and start the game. Now the font there is much higher resolution. You kind of wonder whether this is running an emulator or whether it's a simulation or something. I really don't know. The graphics of the background are the original. I'm just trying to listen to the audio. I can't tell if I can't really remember if it's the original or not, but as I say, the graphics definitely are, although that font is very high resolution, which makes me wonder if this is actually a simulation, not an emulation. Not that it really matters either way. So as you can see, we've got the same animation and things. It's all been really faithfully recreated, which, as I say, I was personally very impressed with, because if they'd changed the script and redrawn the graphics to be something completely different, it would have felt a bit like, well, you've created a different game here, as I say. There's a game called Cotton 100% on the Super Nintendo, which is very similar to the original Cotton. It's a kind of recycled version, but I don't really like that, because it feels like, well, what is this? It's not a sequel. It's not the original game. It's a bit weird. So as I say, I much prefer this where they've recreated the original game, but now I have to press the fire button an awful lot because we don't have our auto fire. But you can see, if you compare the two, the enemies are basically the same in both. It's just the artwork is a lot better in the sequel. So this is very makes a lot of sense. You'd be surprised if it weren't. But, I do like to see them include the original games like this, because sometimes one of the Bubble games I played on the DS, I think it was, the remake was terrible and hated it. So I always just played the original game and just ignored the remake, which, as I say, definitely is not the case with this one. But, for example, while there is an X68000 emulator on things like the PSP, the X68000 is a heavy-duty system to emulate, so emulating it on a handheld may be a little bit tricky, and configuring the emulator and things can be a pain in the backside. So having a handheld version that allows you to play the original in this form is probably easier for you if you want to play the original than getting an X68000 emulator working on a handheld device. So as I say again, I think it's a nice touch and a nice. In general, they've done a nice job of paying their respects to the original by keeping it reasonably close to the original game. It's not as comfortable having to keep hitting the fire button rather than holding it down. But as I say, it's understandable that they've kept the. Oh, actually, I'm saying that. Don't. I apologise. I'm getting mixed up there. The fire rate isn't as fast if you hold down as the new version, but it does have an auto fire option. It was the PC Engine version that didn't have an auto fire option. Anyway, I think there's a limit to how many bullets can be on the screen, because I notice it gets faster if I'm close to the enemy. So as I say, I don't know how much you'll be able to get this game for overseas. The basic version was $50, and while the additional extras are nice enough, I don't think you really need any of them. As I say, I just bought them because I wanted to show a bit of support, and hopefully they'll port some of the other games to the Switch, because as I say, I do like to see it. Anyway, so there we go. I would definitely recommend this if you're interested in the original game, or if you like some milder bullet hell shooters. As I say, if you set the difficulty to hard mode, it definitely does feel more like a bullet hell shooter than the original did. So again, I would definitely recommend you take a look at it. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you found it interesting. Thanks for watching today, and goodbye.